All right, what is going on, people? Welcome to the Godzilla vs Kong spoiler cast on the Koalition. I'm your host Tony Polanco, and today I'm joined by Dana Abercrombie
Hello, everyone.
and Carlos Romero.
Yo, 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 what's going on, everyone?
Yeah, you already know, man. Monsters fighting. All right. First off, before anything, Dana, I got to give you a special shout out. Thank you for letting me host this. Usually, this is your beat, but you know how passionate about
You're
I am about this
passionate.
shit.
This
So
is
it's
your
like,
Bible.
yeah. So like when you offered it, I'd even go like, "Oh, you sure?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this right now." You know. Oh my god! And of course, Chris Seeley from Throwdown. He'll try to pop up later, but Chris and Carlos like, yo, we got to do something, bro. We got to do something. So I was like, let me hit up Dana. So we're here. I don't know what's going on with Richard. I think Godzilla stomped on his car or something.
Car
So
blew up. It was a hot
you already
mess.
know. So yes, God, this is the movie, man. I've been waiting for this for years. Dana, you already know. When we saw King of the Monsters, I was ready for this. So we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna do this pretty much the way I normally do spoiler alerts, where we talk about for about a minute or so our general thoughts about the movie, and then we go deep into the shit. So I'll start off, just a quick synopsis. This movie was fucking amazing, right? Like everything except for the human shit. We'll get into that later. Great. Like the action was fantastic. Like what you came here for, the Godzilla versus Kong, that was like out of this world. The colors, the destruction and shit. Some of the lore that was going on. We'll talk about that. Ooh, so good, so good. I loved it, man. I got a couple little complaints here and there, obviously, but overall, I would give it 4 island natives out of 5. Deaf island natives out of 5. Dana, what are your quick thoughts on the movie?
Okay, well, as someone who is not as passionate as you are, Tony, and kind of just watches it for entertainment and casualness, I was thoroughly entertained. I love the fact that, it didn't give me a chance to just breathe. Like it went right into the action. Usually we have to wait like a good hour or something for someone to show up. Nope, right then and there we had, we showed up with Kong. We had like 20 minutes into it, they're already fighting. And I really love that fact. I love that we already got an established characters from the other movie and that they did a really good job of just introducing new characters and just putting them in, they played their part and they played it well. Brian Tree Henry, is like the nerdy guy who's to me he was the one who explained everything for those who are like me who didn't know what was really going on. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. I loved how it just came together and those fight sequences. Woo! They were great.
Yes.
Yes.
Carlos, man, quick thoughts, brother.
Yeah, I kind of agree with most of what's been said about this movie. It's fast paced. It's the fight scenes are epic. My boy, who I was rooting for, who I was cheering for, who I was fanboying about. I don't know. We want to get deep into that right now, but
It's a spoiler, bro. We get that. We could say that for later, but yeah, this is a spoiler. We're gonna tell you who won, not who we think won. We're gonna tell you who won.
Yeah.
There was a clear winner.
My boy won. I agree with Tony about the whole human aspect. That was the only downside. I had no issues with the acting. The acting was really well. But sort of the storyline, sort of the character arcs, they kind of didn't really go anywhere for me. But other than that, it was a great movie. It was on par with. I think it was better than King of the Monsters. I think it was on the same level as Kong Skull Island, which I think is sort of one of the tops for me. I still have to, rewatch the movie again to see which one I prefer most. But yeah, through and through, everything about this movie, in terms when it comes to Kong and Godzilla, it was amazing. There was so many great scenes in the movie. It's like, oh, remember that part? Remember that? We were talking about Throwdown. We weren't trying to spoil
Yeah,
it for other people that haven't seen the movie. It's like,
Brian.
yeah, Brian in particular, it's like, yo, the part where this happened, and it was, we're all geeking out, man. Watching this movie, brings me back to being a kid because I just enjoy watching monsters fighting. That's something I really enjoyed my whole life, and yeah, I'm glad this movie exists. I'm glad I got to watch it on my TV. But I
My
know I
TV.
understand a lot of people are saying that watching this on IMAX or in the big screen would have been better, and I do agree. It would
Mhm.
have been a better experience there, but what we can work with right now under these circumstances, I'm glad I got to experience it, and it was well worth the wait. I'll say that.
All right, yeah, man, that's it. All right, let's get into it from the top. And like Dana said, like, yo, this movie didn't waste no time. Like 5 seconds in, you already see Kong sleeping. You know, it's like, all right, like just right into it because you figured there'd be a little bit of a slow. Although I do still think it took a little while for things to really pick up. Like, yeah, I know we had the Godzilla thing in the beginning or whatever, right? But it did for me took a little while, but that was fine. But we just got into it. So basically, 5 years after the King of the Monsters, right? It's funny. It's like 5 years in the world, but like 3 years for us in the real world. You know, because I'm pretty sure we saw this in 2018, right, Dana? Like the last movie.
No, I thought it was 17. Was it not
17? Yeah, but like I remember that it was something. Yeah, you can check that up. Oh, by the way, Dana, I'm gonna be like relying on you to tell me these people's names. So I'm just like that black dude, the little girl. Like I don't know none of their names. Like that's all I know. There's only one brother in the movie, so I can just say that. You know,
Ryan Tyree Henry.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah,
from Atlanta.
Yeah. But yeah, we know we got the intro. We got Kong stomping around. You see that little girl and stuff. You know, she's deaf. And then you find out the reason she's deaf is because like the movie needed somebody to do sign language with Kong. You know, and this movie proves Kong. That's a smart motherfucker. You know, he learned sign language, like human sign language. He understands it and everything, right? So you find out that they built this crazy ass holographic dome around Skull Island, right? To, I guess, protect them from Godzilla. You know, I think that was.
I thought it was to keep him contained because Godzilla would automatically know where he's at.
Yeah, he would just know. Yeah, exactly. Because like there are the final two, at least that they're aware of, like Titan, like Alpha Titan. So it's like, yo, they're gonna go at it, and then you come to find out. I really love that intro sequence where you get to see the history of the Kongs and the Godzillas fighting each other, throughout history. I'm like, okay, they set that up really well, right? And then obviously we had the big fight or attack Godzilla on the power plant. That messed me up. And I'm gonna say, Dana, you didn't have an issue with that at all, right? I'm gonna tell you why you didn't have an issue with it. Like you were just like, oh, Godzilla's attacking a power plant, right? See,
no, it was confusing at first because
we're confused. But I want to get. Here's the thing. I'm very curious to hear your reaction because I was messed up for a very specific reason. But I want to get your thoughts on that. Godzilla just blatantly attacking his power plant.
Because you have to. We know in the movie, we understand that they just attack each other. Like the reason why he goes off is because he can sense that Godzilla is nearby, and if you don't realize that at first, you're like, why is he going completely ape crazy?
Yeah.
And that's why he's going that way. So I think that they did a really great setup because remember the girl was also kind of like something's not right as well. It was her and the mother.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job explaining, like, no, this is not his character. This is because he senses that Godzilla is nearby.
Yeah.
But at first it was like, well, I don't blame him for attacking him. Because like the dude's in a containment thing. He wants to be free.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about Godzilla specifically attacking the power plant.
Like, the power plant thing was like it was weird because he knew exactly where they was located and with the power plant. So at first it was like a little confusing, but then other than that, it was fine.
Yeah. See, I think you saw it the way they intended, right? Because again, I'm fucking old school with this stuff, right? If you remember the first movie with Mechagodzilla, right? Godzilla stomps out of the ocean, making weird noises, attacks a power plant. So I'm looking at this Godzilla. His eyes were going the whole time like, yo, that's not Godzilla, bro. That's already Mechagodzilla. I went into it thinking that, and then come to find out later, no, that was legit the real Godzilla doing that, So, but that was a cool shout out to the original appearance of Mechagodzilla, where Godzilla just shows up and attacks a power plant. And then obviously later on we find out the reason why, and it is tied with Mechagodzilla. By the way, I had already speculated that Mechagodzilla was going to be in this movie, but the Chinese trailer blew that shit right up. They just showed it to you,
Yeah.
But I wasn't stressing about that. But basically you find out like, like, oh, we gotta find the home of the Titans or whatever. So we gotta get Kong to lead us down there. That whole thing was kind of stupid because you find us like, wait, the humans already dug their way down there. They could have just fucking went without Kong. The only thing they really needed Kong for was to open the doors. If you really think about it. But that was just their flimsy little way of getting Kong off the island. The one was like, no, we can't be doing that, Godzilla rose up, big battle happened. So we got to talk about that first. The battle carrier battle. Ooh.
Oh man,
Carlos, man, get in, man. What'd you think, bro?
So when the first thing I thought, watching him carry and holding and chaining a Kong on the fighter or the carrier, it's like, how is this strong enough to handle him? The dude is the size of this whole thing. And they're doing that, but the girl sort of was keeping him at bay and stuff. So man, we saw the trailers. We saw that first scene when he's sticking his head out, looking at the ocean, and then Godzilla just freaking uppercuts him with his head. Yo, man, that's whenever we play video games, like and you guys see our live streams, I always scream like, it's like all this whole sequence had dozens of these. Like, it was so crazy. Like, it's like, he's bringing Godzilla into the water. He's uppercutting them. They're shooting like missiles at Godzilla. This dude is going against a whole fleet and Kong. Yep. Of course, he has the upper hand because he's in water. Yeah. But man, the whole sequence was epic, and I'm so happy that they pulled this off, because it's like in a lot of ways they could have like ruined this, because it's kind of hard to make it seem like they got all of these things going around and then Kong's like struggling. They pull that off, and man, Kong was fucked up.
Yo, he got jacked up because he wasn't in his element. He was underwater and stuff. Yeah, gotta help him out with depth charges. Yo, it's funny you mentioned that, Carlos, because when I was watching that scene specifically, when he started jumping from aircraft carrier to aircraft carrier, I heard you in my head going, that shit was crazy. But Kong at the same time, you could tell, like, when he got to the main carrier, it's like, oh, I gotta chill out, man. I can't be hurting this little girl, and then Godzilla came in fucking him up. Oof, so good. By the way, in this movie in general, Godzilla did his force blast all the time. Like, if you remember the first movie, the Bryan Cranston movie, he just did it at the end. That was like, oh shit, he's doing it. Now my man's just like, this is my main attack now. Atomic breath, everybody.
It's like Goku when he turned Super Saiyan. He's like, it took him like a couple of years to turn Super Saiyan. Now he's turning into Super Saiyan all the time.
All the time, But yeah, Dana, what'd you think of that battle carrier sequence in the water?
In the water?
In the water, not the water, the water.
In the water, I thought it was really great. He got his behind beat, but he also had the upper hand because he had the humans that was helping him as well. Yeah. So if it wasn't for that, he would have just died at this point. Remember, they was drowning him. So I thought it was good.
No, you're right. Because think about it. If those depth charges saved him, if it wasn't for that, it'd be over, And
then remember, he was still chained up as he was fighting him. So he was a hot mess. Yeah. But it wasn't for them. Like I was happy that they kind of worked with him. But yeah, he was getting slaughtered.
Yeah. No, Godzilla, he woke up mad that morning. He's like, who's this motherfucker?
That's the thing with Godzilla. He just seemed to be mad all the time. Yeah. We'll get to the other part later on. Dude was just like enjoying himself in that other part of the universe, inverted thing, and the guy's still just angry, just staring at him all mean and still trying to get him.
Yeah, somebody posted this meme. It's like, this is what Godzilla was like the entire movie, and it was Triple H coming down the ramp, ripping off his clothes, ready to fight. Like, that was Godzilla the whole movie. He's just ready to fight. Because Kong, he would hang back like, oh, let me see what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? He would assess it because again, he's a primate, so he's thinking about shit. Godzilla's just a big angry lizard, so he's just going in. He's just angry. Hold on, who's that? Is that Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I made it.
What's going on? And all right, before we go on, Chris, give us your quick minute thoughts of the entire movie, and then we're going to get into detail. Actually, no, give us your quick minute thoughts of the movie, and then tell us what you thought of the battle carrier sequence.
My minute thoughts was the director of this movie understood what people wanted. People wanted to just see kaijus fighting. I mean, he opened the movie with Kong scratching his ass and taking a shower. And then you get to people ferrying him all over the earth. And it's just, I don't know what, Pensacola and Hong Kong bid it in the movie. So there's two cities, this movie. And so I think for me, the pinnacle of kaiju movies is still, for me, Pacific Rim. For West, but this came close in the terms of just satisfying you. Like that's what you wanted to see. You want to see these guys duke it out and just and the action and the set pieces, and they kept the drama, the human drama, to a minimum, almost to the point where I felt bad for Office Space. There, he was in the movie, but he was pointless, right?
Yeah. Or my man Broyles, he showed up for 2 minutes.
I was like, Broyles is there. All you had to do is like, hey, Broyles, just say something. Yo, let's get the people out of here. Okay, and that's it. That's all he did.
Broyles, the other black guy in the movie. I was like, yo, what's Broyles doing here? But yeah, so what would you think of the first major battle? Actually, no. First of all, were you because when Godzilla attacked the power plant, right? like 'cause Dana, she's not as like versed about this stuff, so she's read it as it was supposed to be. Godzilla is attacking this plant for mysterious reasons, right?
Yeah,
When
I didn't get that it was the mega
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, no, you were, but that's how you were supposed to see it. See, Chris, I was fucked up because if you remember Mechagodzilla's first appearance, what was it? It was Mechagodzilla attacking a power plant. So I'm like, that's Mechagodzilla. You know, that was so for the whole movie. I'm thinking that was Mechagodzilla until it's like, oh no, that was the actual Godzilla that did that. You know?
I was I thought that too until the conspiracy guy, he got to that he snuck in that sub basement and Godzilla tore it apart and he saw the eye there, and I was like, okay, so there's the MacGuffin, and so it's obvious why that. So then I was like, okay, that's the real Godzilla then, because I was like, that's an eyeball. It looked like Wheatley from Half-Life, you know.
Really
And
did,
it's like, okay, so Wheatley's calling Godzilla somehow. It's like, okay, and then I immediately thought of King of Monsters because they had the MacGuffin in there was the hypersonic device that they could manipulate the kaiju with. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what they're building. Maybe that's what that thing is. But then it turns out it's just one of his eyeballs.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so yeah, the battle carrier sequence. What'd you think of that?
It was well done. It kind of contrasted how Kong behaves versus Godzilla. Godzilla just tore through the ships. He was just ripping planes apart. He didn't give a shit. Kong like daintily jumps to the aircraft carrier. He also manages to spin. I know that's not how boats work, but he spun the other tanker with the little girl on it back on right side up and climbed on it like a surfboard to save everybody. And then he jumped gently on the aircraft carrier, as best he could. And then so I like that. The satisfying punch. He also did the action jump when Godzilla blew up the aircraft carrier.
Yes.
So that it was all those shots were just satisfying. Like if you can enjoy the insanity of Fast and the Furious and cars doing shit that they're not supposed to do, you can enjoy this. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was great. All right, so yeah, go ahead, Dana.
Really quickly, it also shows the relationship between humans and Godzilla. I mean, King Kong.
Yeah.
Because it shows that they're there for each other. Because he could have easily just been like Godzilla, and that was it.
Yeah.
But he did. He purposely went out his way.
No, you're right about that. Like, it was really Kong and the humans versus Godzilla. That's what that really was. Because again, like you said, if it wasn't for the humans, Kong would have died. He would have died. Because Godzilla was drowning his ass.
Yeah, the entire time Kong always has an entourage through the whole movie. They're either carrying him somewhere or they're following him. But he has an entourage. Godzilla is just by himself, just wrecking shit. He shows up out of the ocean, kills like 200 people on the way up, 1,000 people on the way through the city, and then even saying goodbye, he probably killed another 100 people before he left.
By the way, speaking of that, when he attacked the power plant in the beginning, it's like only was it a dozen dead?
No, it said 8. I'm like 8, bro. Great.
Yeah, 8. really.
No,
8?
you saw. Okay, when he gets up in Hong Kong, he ain't even thrown a punch yet. He knocks over a bridge, and you see cars falling into the water. I'm like, all those people are dead. Everyone on that bridge is dead. That is so bullshit. 8 people in Pensacola died, man.
Yeah, I think they talk about, we're evacuating Hong Kong. They didn't evacuate everybody, bro. And I'm pretty sure some people evacuating were in those fucking cars. So, you're right. Godzilla just sneezing killed a bunch of people in this movie. Meanwhile, Kong, he was at least trying.
Oh yeah. He was trying not to hit the ground. He was grabbing buildings and stuff. So you could tell the difference in their body language. Like Godzilla doesn't give a shit. He'll plow through a building to get to you. Kong was dodging and shit. He was flying, jumping over things, trying to daintily hop around.
Yeah, and then we'll go on to the next part where they basically got Kong where they needed to, to the Antarctic. I thought that was a really cool scene, because you've never seen Kong in that type of environment, like a frigid, cold environment. But it also showed you his vulnerability. It's like this big fucking giant gorilla. It's like, yeah, you leave Kong out there for a day, he's gonna die. There's no food for him. It's too fucking cold. So I kind of like that. I wonder how Godzilla would fare, because I think he generates his own body heat. So I don't think Godzilla's like fucking a god, basically.
Yeah, he's like a nuclear reactor, so he doesn't have to worry.
Yeah, he's like self-perpetuating. I don't know if you want to go over quickly the main dude, the white dude and shit. The reason they got him on board was because his brother did the expedition to the Hollow Earth. He got all fucked up. And then they built this fancy ship for him, and
so that was the MacGuffin of this movie. So everything besides Godzilla 2014 had sort of this mechanical MacGuffin. So the mechanical MacGuffin this time, besides Mechagodzilla, was the anti-gravity technology that somehow this rich, evil Elon Musk guy who runs Apex Cybernetics created, and that the daughter brags about in a throwaway line on the ship. She's like, "Oh, the engines put off enough power to power Las Vegas for a week." I'm like, "Oh, we're going to come back to that later." I bet that was important, and they do. But so they have this crazy technology just convenient enough because when you go into hollow earth, apparently gravity inverts and it will crush you. So the main dude, that's his like link to hollow earth, is his brother went down there and I guess he died. he
Yeah.
got he got crushed in the Space Odyssey tunnel, like the Kubrick effect. Apparently you
Yeah.
can't survive that. But they threw Kong in there and he could survive that. I don't know how they knew that. That was one of my problems. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna let Kong just go through that gravity inversion and hope that he's okay. But you motherfuckers have this technology to survive that shit. They barely survived. They look like they were screaming all the way through that thing.
Yeah. He has a harder constitution, man. He was good. We'll get to Hollow Earth in a little bit, but I want to go back to the anti-gravity thing. As soon as they said that, like, oh, we got this anti-gravity shit, that's what I'm like. All right, Tony, chuck any notion of realistic science out the window. Let it go. And I'm glad I did that, because when they got to the Hollow Earth, I'm like, that's not what's inside the planet. It's just magma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like you just be crushed to death. So I'm like, all right, we're just rolling with it right now. And I thought Hollow Earth was fucking like unscientific or whatever, but the visual was so fucking dope. Like, because it reminded me of like, an O'Neill cylinder or like the Citadel or Halo, like, that kind of inverted type of stuff going on. So that was dope. So Dana, what'd you think of the Hollow Earth?
Well, it was even memorizing to Godzilla, because remember there was a scene where he's like looking at the rocks and he's pointing, and then he leaps and he's like just floating for a while.
Yeah, King Kong. Yeah,
King Kong. I think.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you could see that he's even memorized by that as well. So I really like how plus the cinematography was just amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
The whole movie itself, it was amazing. And, the special effects were just exquisite. I really do wish I saw this in a theater.
Yeah.
That's like the only sad part.
Yeah.
But no, they did it really well. And then you also, just to backtrack just a little bit, remember when the girl was doing the sign language and she was like, "Oh, you can have a family."
Yeah.
That whole thing, it also again shows, it gives more of like a humanistic element to King Kong, is instead of, saying the difference between Godzilla, like, he's a thinker. And it's like, oh, I may have other people as well. And you could kind of see like that loneliness in him. And they played a really good part. It just, there were scenes with just his eyes they focused on, which kind of reminded me of Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Yeah.
So they did that.
Also, by the way, that was also a really good callback to Kong Skull Island, because remember, he was lonely in that too, because he was the only one left. So that was a really good callback to that. Like when she said, "Hey, your family on there," you knew King Kong was like, "Oh, my family. I've been wanting to see him."
Tony, do it.
Yeah. Oh, you mean family? Yeah. Go on, Dan. I just wanted to get that. But so it's a nice tie-in to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like they did that really well, and I enjoyed how it just looked really beautiful. And then when he gets there and there's other creatures on there, and how he just automatically shows his dominance by tearing them apart, literally.
Yes.
And again, you also show the humans also protecting him as well, because Kong would have died just several times already. This whole movie. But I really like that part really well.
Yeah. Congo, and there's like, this bitch, I'm the king. Like nobody's fucking with me right now. Go ahead, Carlos. What do you think, man?
So I have a question. So
why is
it that they have this anti-gravity ship? Essentially, they're going into another dimension. This is what it seems like to me. They're going into a different dimension. Like Chris mentions, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It seems like it's doing the exact same thing, or Interstellar. But it's weird, because so they need a ship to get through there, but Kong is just fine floating around through it.
Yeah.
I guess.
There's that. I had two problems with that. One, you could have said like that the Earth is like geology says it is, right, with a mantle and stuff, and whatever they went through put them in like a parallel dimension where there's a hollow space, right? Except that Godzilla decides to bore a hole from Hong Kong to it,
and
that's a good
skip
point.
that shit. That broke that theory.
Yeah, no, you're right, because you see them pass through like an aperture, right? Like there's something clear there. It could have been like, here's the portal to the other dimension. But right, I just said, fuck that, bam, straight down. It's like that old joke is like, oh, if you drill down far enough, you're gonna get to China. Godzilla did the opposite. Like, I'm gonna get China, I'm gonna drill down to the other side of the earth. This shit was crazy. But yeah, go ahead, bro.
Well, I mean, once they got into that space, I'm like, oh shit. So I was expecting to see a ton of monsters.
Yeah.
But it was kind of more barren and more of like a wasteland in a way. That scene where they're flying and the creature is about to get the ship and then Kong just pulls it back. That looked pretty sick. But yeah, I mean, I do have a little bit of issues with sort of the way they went with it, like to explaining it. It kind of doesn't make sense. Like Chris mentioned, like my theory would have been like, oh, it's just another dimension that they come through. Because isn't Pacific Rim another dimension as well?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
So kind of similar to that. But Godzilla, blowing a hole into the earth that blows that theory out of the water. So it's kind of weird, but I guess I'll have to short circuit my brain in order to be like, okay, let's continue with the story. Like I said, I'm glad they got that anti-gravity shot the way, because that'd let me know, okay, Tony, just chuck all science out the window. So when they got to Hollow Earth, it's like, yeah, just keep ignoring it, bro. Keep ignoring it. Just focus on the monsters. Chris, what do you think of Hollow Earth?
Well, it was interesting. Like, it was well designed, but it was just empty, right? I expected there to be more varied creatures in there, because they throw the hint like, oh, your family's down there, but we didn't see anything but bones and weird bat creatures, like the one that Kong murders at the beginning, and he eats part of it. And then they go in the like that giant chamber that he sees the handprint, so he knows like, oh, this is where I live or something. And then there's a throne for him. So I'm like, well, okay, so maybe the ape titans were smart, because there's construction in there. There's pillars that are perfectly smooth. There's a throne. There's like weapons. There was a bunch of those axes on the floor. I was like, okay, so they had some sort of intelligence, and he obviously shows he's intelligent. I think what's her name should lose her PhD for not knowing for 15 years you've been talking to this monkey. You didn't know that he could talk back. Like, holy shit, you just figured that out now. So, that he has a level of intelligence maybe beyond Godzilla, but nobody tries to communicate with Godzilla because he's just an asshole. So that you have that, but we didn't see. I think they just didn't take enough time. The movie was short too, for what it was. Like, it was just an hour and a half. They just like, all right, just jam as much into it as possible and just skip all the bullshit. Like when they take Kong, where they're like, he goes to Skull Island. What's his name? Pennywise. He goes there and he's like, oh yeah, I need him to lead me to the Hollow Earth. The next scene, he's on the boat asleep. They skipped loading him. They skipped. No, we don't need to see that. He's just on the boat. Like, keep it moving. So that was good that they just kept doing that. And then Pennywise like, oh, all the boats sank. I have another idea. And all of a sudden he's like in Antarctica. He's just carried by helicopters. Like, they just skip all that bullshit and just go. And I'm glad they did that. I only wish they had just clipped out the Stranger Things C plot, like Conspiracy Man and 11 and her simp. Like, that didn't need to be there. and her dad didn't need to be there either, because honestly they had really nothing to do but to show us like, oh, there's Mechagodzilla. That's the only thing. Like, honestly, I could edit that movie and cut all that shit out and just show Mechagodzilla turning on, murdering fucking not Howard Hughes, and bursting out of that mountain, and it would have done the same thing.
See, but I thought he was meant for like people like me who didn't, who's not into the lore. Because I was like, oh, it's robot.
Yeah, their whole purpose was the exposition. It's just to explain what's going on. I'm with Chris. The dad, Millie Bobby Brown's dad, he had no purpose except to hug her at the end of the.
Yes, that's all he did.
That's all he did. He had more to do last movie. Damien Bashir, who was the bad guy, I really like that actor. He's Mexican, by the way.
Right. So was Homegirl too. His daughter
was Asa Gonzalez. They were all kind of, she had more to do than him
Yeah.
Like he was just, sort of just on the sideline, like giving like the evil monologues. So
Yeah, he was too
um,
mustache twirling. They both were, and that was my problem with them. They're both good actors, but they were too mustache twirling. She was too bitchy. She was like on the boat, like, can we just throw the monkey at Godzilla? Like, are you crazy? Do you know why you're here? Did your daddy tell you what you're supposed to do? Like, why would you even suggest that? And then, later, for no reason in the Hollow Earth, she decides to shoot Kong on the way out. I'm like, well, that won't end well. And then he took the fucking thing, looked at it, and crushed them in there. He just looked in there to make sure the little girl wasn't in there. He's like, yeah, you're part of my entourage. No,
yeah.
he squished them, and that was that. So she's dead.
Yeah, he's
And
looking like
then,
that's the bitch that called me a monkey. I'm an ape, bitch.
And then what's his name at the end? He was literally monologuing while when Mechagodzilla flipped. And so and then he gets killed in the most embarrassing way. So
He died in the most like super villain type of movie way though. It's like monologuing some shit going on, and then like right before he dies, he's like, oh shit, like all right, like every fucking villain dies like it's so corny.
And they did the trope too, like they're all staring behind him and they're
Yeah.
backing up, and he doesn't get it. He's still swirling his whiskey
I'm
like,
too busy
yes,
monologuing. I would create make a Godzilla and kill everybody.
Well, it
And why is
reminded me of
everybody looking at
Incredibles.
it?
Yeah. Oh my
Remember
god.
Incredibles had like the whole thing of what you're not supposed to do?
Yeah, what you're not supposed to do, and he did it. Like literally, he did the thing. He did the thing. I do want to go back to Hollywood because that was one of my complaints about this movie. I'm like, I expected. Okay, this is where the movie's gonna go fucking crazy. We're gonna see all those monsters they hinted at in the last one. All of them. Remember, they had these. Not only did they have like old Toho monsters from the other Godzilla movies, they had these new ones. I'm like, okay, we got to see this shit. No, you only saw like those two long snake type of ones, and then a bunch of skulls and chest cavities and all that. I'm like, what?
There was an opportunity they didn't capitalize on several things. Like even in the opening credits when they show the montage of monsters that Kong has killed and Godzilla has killed, right? And they show montages from each of their old movies. The problem was like, okay, why did they not say that they destroyed the monsters? That would be a nice Toho callback to destroy all monsters.
Yeah.
They were defeated. Like, motherfucker, they didn't defeat them. They killed them. These things are dead. They're not coming back. Defeated is like, what is this Pokemon? They're going to go to the center and heal later? No, they're dead. And then also the trees, you notice that it was almost like FGC. It was like coming together. So it was just Kong and Godzilla left. But I'm like,
that's why they did the brackets.
They had brackets, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so they say Kong killed about as many Titans as Godzilla did, but we only see him ever in his movie. We don't know what the fuck he's been doing.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Like, because we've seen Godzilla kill a bunch of dudes, you know, in his movies. Like, Kong's only been on that island forever. Like, unless they're gonna make like a prequel movie where he's like, hey, this is adventures off the island. Like, he didn't kill that many, so he just made it to the finals bracket because there was nobody else left. Godzilla took care of them all. You're right about that. Go ahead, bro.
I mean, I think it would have added a lot more to the respect that Kong deserved, because if we like you guys mentioned, we only saw him from Skull Island to getting his ass kicked in the ship to going into the Hollow Earth and beating like two like little monsters to getting his ass kicked again. And I'm like, it would have been more badass if in between when he was on Hollow Earth that he like went through like a whole training montage kind of thing with like a training arc like in anime. It's like defeated all of these badass monsters. He feels all badass, and the final match is with him and Godzilla.
Yeah, I felt like he didn't capitalize because we could see he's resourceful and he uses weapons. Like in the beginning, he takes a tree and he strips it and he uses it to do something, and then
he speared the hologram.
He speared the dome. Yeah. So I thought, okay, they showed when Godzilla tore through one of the ships, the anchor caught on it and it dragged the stern bow of the boat with him, right? And I thought, oh, that's perfect. Kong is probably gonna grab that shit and whip him around. But he doesn't. They just throw fists. And I was like, oh, but that's a missed opportunity. He's resourceful. You didn't show him using his environment to his advantage.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. By the way, I thought that visual was dope, showing how Godzilla sunk in and shit. That was really good. But yeah, and then in the Hollow Earth, we had the big moment where Kong picked up Stormbreaker, and got it all charged up. That shit was crazy. And like you saw what that was, right? It was a Godzilla like plate, you know?
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. But you're right. And I know the movie's not about that, but like I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about
Yeah.
the history because I'm like, okay, clearly big ass monkeys built all this shit, you know, and they may have been even more intelligent than Kong. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you got to like do some engineering to get this shit right, you know. So
Right.
you know, it just gave you little hints of it here and there. But I thought that was dope. But you know, like you guys said, you know, we moved the action along, and then Godzilla just blasted down there. But before we get to that, okay, so not only do they have these bridges to like the Hollow Earth, but they also have like fast tunnels to around the world. Like they zipped around from like where did they start the movie from?
They from
Pensacola, right?
Pensacola, and
Yeah,
they went
all
to
the way to
Hong
Hong
Kong.
Kong. It's like what
Yeah.
the fuck? We're like, okay, bruh, we're doing
Yeah,
this.
like
And then
apparently it's like money was no object to Monarch or the Apex company,
yeah,
because Apex had that high speed tunnel going to Hong Kong. They were just shipping stuff. They were cloning kaiju. They had
yeah,
a room just for Mechagodzilla in Hong Kong. That so money was no object. But meanwhile, Monarch can cap Skull Island with a holodeck,
yeah,
and then they can build a Hollow Earth tunnel and then abandon it until it was convenient to use it again. It's just
yes,
sitting there. It was so big that Kong was able to swing in it.
yeah,
Like, can you imagine how long it would take to build something like that? A tunnel
yeah.
that big for him
Yeah,
to like
like
move it like
even
that?
like 5 years it took between King of the Monsters and this, I'm like, oh bro, like, but again, that you got to just suspend all that shit just to go
Yeah.
with it, you know. So yeah, you know, then we get to the big finale, which is the fight in Hong Kong. Very colorful fight, by the way. You know, I like all the colors, you know, and the big fight. Now this is where Kong got his revenge. Kong came in with some fucking ass, you know, on Godzilla. It was almost brutal. Like, yo, what he's doing on my boy right now. You know, he had Stormbreaker. He was just beating the shit out of him. That was really good. And then obviously Godzilla turned the tables. He was like, "Nah, son, I'm the king of the monsters here." You know, that shit was crazy. But let's talk about at least that first half before Mechagodzilla comes in. So Dana, what do you think of that?
I
The
thought it was
big
really
showdown.
good, and it shows how he knows how to use that axe
Yes.
really well. You know, he knew exactly what it was. I thought there would be like some weird like detachment of like him not remembering or something, but no, he remembered everything and how to use it. He was choking him at one point. He's trying to stuff it down his
Yeah.
throat. I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. By the way, that was a callback to the first Godzilla versus King Kong. Like King Kong takes a tree and shoves it in Godzilla's mouth. So in this one, he took the axe and did that instead. You know, so that was really cool. Very painful. It's like, you know.
I thought also that the axe would like do something that because it was connected kind of to Godzilla because it was also like it was glowing with the blue. So
Yeah.
I thought maybe remember when he was hitting him when he was using the blast out of his mouth.
Yeah.
I thought that would charge the axe, and then like when he hit him, it would
Yeah.
hit it back. But that wasn't the case. I was kind of sad about that. But he also used like you said he was using the environment also, and he used like part of it, I think a building or something as a shield.
Yeah, he did.
It was really smart.
Yeah, and it was cool just to see the because God, what does King Kong do? He climbs buildings, so it was actually cool to see him climb buildings for the first time in this franchise. You know, by the way, there was also like I think it was around the Hollow Earth thing. Just real quick before we get to this, there was a very specific shot where you see the anti-gravity ship go right up Kong's face. I'm like, oh, that's just like the ride. You know, the King Kong ride from back in the day.
I was like, yo, Universal build this.
Yeah, I was like, that's the shot. That's a Universal shot right there. You know. So yeah. Anyway, Chris, the first half of the fight, you know, in Hong Kong.
The first half of the fight was good because it was kind of what you'd expect like people to do, like size each other up.
Yeah.
So you see them learning from each other. Like Godzilla is just total brutality. Like he charges in, and what does he do? He's throwing blast. And then Kong's blocking it with the axe, like he's turning it on him. And then later Kong dodges around the building because Godzilla just says fuck it and starts shooting everywhere, right? The
Yeah.
lasers just going all, and he's dodging and he gets hit with the beam. And I noticed like, okay, so what does Kong do next? He climbs up a building and hides, and he throws a construction crane to to distract Godzilla. Godzilla shoots in the direction of the noise, which was smart. Then he gets behind him and starts beating his ass from behind so he can't get shot. And I was like, oh, okay, he's thinking. The thinking man's gorilla. This is great. So it was nice to see them like play off each other, and then Godzilla, but he eventually overpowers him. And then you get to part two. But I thought that was well done. It was well choreographed. How you get around the city. It was nice camera angles too. Like the camera follows Kong
Yeah.
falling, and then later Godzilla when he falls, it's kind of like in that kind of weird second person view of him just crashing into the ground.
Yeah, it like does a flip. That was
Yeah.
really crazy. Yeah, Carlos, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think this is where the movie shines. Like these scenes are the best parts of the movie. And man, I was like, yo, what is this? Man of Steel? They're just breaking all this shit down, all the people, man.
But this is understandable. Like I can understand the city crumbling because it's these two fucking giant kaiju throwing each other through everything, right? With Superman and Zod, there's two people-sized people who are so strong they are doing the same thing, and it's like, okay, that's a little much, guys.
Yeah, it was really good, and Kong was the thinking man's fighter, and Godzilla was the brute strength force guy, and we saw how that ended up, and it's I think this part is sort of like what you get your money's worth. It was so well choreographed. It was shot beautifully. The monsters look great. It's crazy. Like before, back in the day, when you would see these kinds of movies, like you would see like, especially the old ones, it's like, the effects, you can tell right away. Yeah. And now it's getting Uncanny Valley at this moment. It's like, man, you really see it, like Kong. And it's crazy when I see the fight too. One of the other things that I noticed, it's like Kong, like, he's an ape like we are.
Yeah.
And it's like you see sort of the humanistic features that kind of we share from the same descendants, but when you see, and you feel kind of a little bit of pity.
Yeah,
when you see Godzilla, it's like, nah, this motherfucker doesn't look anything like us. Fuck this dude. Even though he's my dude.
Yeah.
But,
you know what? I'm gonna jump on that real quick because
Yeah.
I did feel like it's like obviously I went in there rooting for Godzilla, but at the same time it's like I'm a mammal and a primate, so I'm naturally, and lizards and shit, they're our enemy. That's the eternal enemy. So you naturally have an inclination to root for Kong because he's you. He's your like long lost fucking uncle or something.
Also
Godzilla is like, go ahead, Chris.
Well, they wanted you to connect with Kong, like they show him signing. He has a connection to the little girl. He actually saves people in the movie, so they want you to connect with him. Godzilla has no regret or remorse. No, he doesn't seem to have any feeling other than I need to destroy whatever's like bothering me.
Yeah, exactly.
In that direction.
Yeah, because again, it's like we have that ancestral link to the apes and stuff because we are apes. Then you have Godzilla. It's like that's the thing that used to eat us back in the day. So you know what I'm saying. So you kind of naturally have an aversion, but at the same time, you already knew how that fight was. When Godzilla beat that ass, I was like, Kong, I love you, brother, but this one needed to happen because I there was a point where it's like, damn, man. When's Godzilla gonna get open, man? And he did in a big way, bro. Like he killed fucking Kong. If you really think about it, like a second time. They had to resuscitate his ass. And then of course when that was happening, that's when Mechagodzilla rolled up. That's when shit got really
both
real.
their asses.
Yeah, because you saw Godzilla. He was like this huge powerhouse. Mechagodzilla rolled up, and he was like, "All right, bro. I'll show you who's the king." And by the way, I'm gonna talk about the Ghidorah connection. I thought that was kind of cool. So if you really think about it, the final boss was Ghidorah, just in robot form. So I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. By the way, who was the Japanese dude controlling him?
Okay, so they didn't explain it too well in the movie. That is the Japanese guy's son from King of Monsters. What's his name?
You mean Let Them Fight?
Let Them Fight. That's his son. Yes.
Damn, why he turned evil then? What the fuck?
Well, he was just working for Apex. Well, if you think about the movie holistically, now that we have all seen it, who is the bad guy of this movie?
The bad guy was that Spanish dude.
Well, here's the thing. No, it's more complicated than that because he wasn't the bad guy. His goal was that humanity should be on top. That's
Yeah.
why he calls his company Apex.
Yeah.
He's like, we should be the apex predator. We shouldn't be beholden to titans. So he's building his own titan and say, fuck the other titans. We should be in charge and we should control them. And no way. And that's what he was monologuing. He's like, we should not rely on Godzilla to come and save us because we don't have a reason to trust him.
Yeah.
And he was right. As soon as he turned Mechagodzilla on, Godzilla's like, fuck people. I just got to kill whatever's bothering me right now. He gets pissed off. So, in a way, he wasn't the bad guy. In a way, in this movie, it's set up when you think about it, Godzilla's the bad guy.
Gotta explain this one.
Yeah, so Godzilla's the one. Think about the body count, the level of destruction. The reason they need to pull Kong out of retirement and ship him all over the world and whatever is because Godzilla has gone rogue, right? So that's the message that Office Space keeps doing when he's going around the world. Well, Godzilla's gone bad. We don't understand what's happening. Where's my daughter? And then she's like, oh, we have to figure out why Godzilla's gone bad. Simp, give me your van. Let's drive with the conspiracy guy. To the place, and then we'll take the secret tunnel to Hong Kong, and we'll uncover the secrets. So that while they're having that adventure to reveal all that, it's who. So you see who's causing all the destruction, and then you're like, oh, Apex is doing shady shit, but why are they doing the shady shit? In order for the ultimate goal that humanity is safe, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, are they so bad?
Essentially, but at the same time, Godzilla would have been rampaging if it wasn't for them too.
Right. Yes. So he caused that problem, but his also was like it was worth it if he was able to turn Mechagodzilla on. It worked as expected, and he killed Godzilla and said, "Okay, we have a Godzilla on our side that we can turn on and off whenever we want, and it does exactly what we needed to do.
Yeah.
And nobody can overpower it because it just killed Godzilla. So it is now the apex monster."
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Like in that way, like you understand his intentions. It's just the way he was presented was so super villainy that like
yes,
you're like
he was too mustache twirly. Him and his daughter were too.
Like, I will destroy Godzilla.
And I mean, and that's I think that's a missed opportunity. I mean, having those areas of gray is what makes movies great because you get to decide. And it's like because Chris, everything you just said makes perfect sense, and actually, I agree with you. But everyone watch it, well, not everyone, but most of the people that watch this movie and come out with a movie automatically because of tropes
it was presented. Yeah, exactly.
They're all going to be thinking that the Spanish guy is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why they got to do us like that, Carlos, man?
Why they got to do us like that, man?
It was just the depiction that was bad. He's not actually the bad guy. Yes, he's going about things in an underhanded way because he's wealthy and maybe he thinks he's above the law, which he kind of is. If he's throwing trillions of dollars and can build a Godzilla killer, then you would be like, fuck the rules. I'm just going to do what I want. But in the end, everybody wins. I'm going to make sure we're on top. It's just like Syndrome in Incredibles. It's like, yeah, he's doing really awful shit. Like he's killing all these heroes to make this ultimate machine. And then he'd go kill it and then become the hero of the world. And then what was his idea at the end? He said, when I've had my fun, I'll sell my inventions to everybody so everybody can be super. And when everybody's super, no one will be. So he equalized the world. So his intentions weren't bad in the long run, but how he was getting to them was bad.
Yeah.
Killing superheroes and stuff. So this is kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, this guy's cloning the skull crawlers from Skull Island and all these other kaiju so he could test them against Mechagodzilla so he can make it better. It's almost the same thing Syndrome was doing. Syndrome was getting heroes to the island, testing his robot, and when they fucked up the robot, he upgraded it till it killed the hero, right? Until he worked his way up to Mr. Incredible. So this is Mechagodzilla was working his way up to Godzilla. Right?
Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable with all these connections to the Incredibles right now. It's like these motherfuckers just
that was
watch
poetic,
this,
though.
that was great, well said. But I was like, yo, bro, you're right, but I didn't think about this. We just ripping off that fucking cartoon, You're right about that. Go ahead, bro.
And Godzilla, it seems like even though he's been the good guy for the past couple of movies, his whole purpose is just to be the apex monster in this planet, and even with Kong's just been chilling in the cut this whole time, and he sticks his head out for a second, and Godzilla's on his way to fucking.
He's ready to fight. He's always ready to fight.
He's always there, man. And so it makes perfect sense why this company, this Apex, is trying to get something that they can defend themselves with because they can't control Godzilla. No one can. And if anything help, if more monsters ever show up in the future, and who can defend the humans that they can control? They don't know Godzilla is always going to be on their side. So yeah, I totally agree with Chris on this one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And here's the thing, I'm a little bit torn right now because at the same time, one time, I agree with you that I think it would have been cool to get that little bit of a gray area in there just to, give the movie some more dimension. But at the same time, that's not what people came for, right? So I can't fault them for that a little bit. But what do you think about that, Dana? Kind of the missed opportunity there with the gray area that they could have potentially thrown in there.
Yeah, I mean, but the way how Chris acknowledged it and everything, there is a lot of gray area. Even if you have the movie ended, there was that gray. We didn't technically get a clear cut. I mean, you could argue and say it was a clear winner, but we didn't technically get that. And then when you add in that aspect of, trying to do right, but you approach it the wrong way, that itself is the gray area.
Yeah, I think that what was approached the wrong way was the way this villain was presented. Because I think if he was not so cackly, like, then we would have been like, okay, this guy, it would have been like a Magneto situation. Like Magneto, like, yo, what you're doing is fucked up, but I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
You know?
And you
like,
know his backstory too. And
you know
his
exactly.
motivations.
So with this guy, because the thing is, you're right, it is all laid out there. It's just, he was just like a cackly supervillain, so you just didn't care what his motivations were, So, yeah. Chris, man, you good, man? Godzilla didn't eat you, man?
No, I don't think the government liked what I had to say.
Oh, hey,
Monarch's
man.
like, too many secrets there.
Yeah. All right. And then, of course, we get the big finale, Godzilla and Kong versus Mechagodzilla, the tag team of the century.
That's the gray area.
Yeah. You're right about that.
There you go. That whole fight was a gray area. Because if you really wanted to play it straightforward, he would have just, teamed up with Mega Godzilla or whatever and took him out and been like, okay, so then you and I, it's time to go. But he didn't. He tagged with regular Godzilla.
Yeah. I think Mechagodzilla would have killed King Kong too, though. That's the whole point. Is to kill all the kaiju.
Then that's the weird part then, because if that happens, then it's like, what does Godzilla do? Because at the end, they kind of had that acknowledgement with each other.
Yeah.
So then that breaks that whole thing of Godzilla just trying to be the monster who just kills people, like the angry, the hater all the time, because he didn't take that approach.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that weird thing where it's like, only I can defeat you. So, remember the enemy of my enemy is also my enemy or something like that?
My friend, yeah. Any man is my friend, yeah.
So it was kind of in that regards that way as well. Like, I can't stand you, but only I can take you out. And I know that you need help. So he's addressing that. So that whole thing is the gray area. That whole time of the movie was spent with him just going, when he was actually a thinker as well.
Yeah, this how I interpreted that whole thing. Like, Godzilla got his ass fucking whipped the whole time by Mechagodzilla. King Kong comes in. King Kong kills Mechagodzilla. He's the guy that actually won, if you really think about it. And then I think that's when Godzilla was probably like, "Yo, this guy's actually pretty cool. He's on my level." So we're okay.
He gave him the New York head nod.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's like, like, all right, bro, we cool now. So if you think about it, Dana, Godzilla had character development in the end.
There you go.
Realized, he's like, hey, I don't have to. This doesn't just have to be me. This guy's cool. No,
I think later on down the line, I'm going to beat you behind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I respect what you just did.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that you saved my life. Thank you. I'll get you later.
Yeah, as long as you stay down in the hollow earth. That's what Godzilla's thinking. Like, listen, I'm gonna be up here on the regular earth, right, doing my thing, swimming around the oceans. You stay your ass down there, and we'll be all right.
I still think you gotta just, keep an eye out on him, because he's like that guy you just can't really trust.
I'm telling you, Godzilla, like you could maybe a little bit. No, but you're right. You're right though. It is enemy of my enemy type of shit. You can trust him as long as like whatever he wants to fuck up is the thing that wants to kill you too. But you're right about that. But I thought the whole tag team. I only complain about that is I wish it would lasted a little bit longer because it was so well done. Yeah. I like that fight was so well. What you saw of it was so well done. The fucking tag team and all that shit. It was like a video game. It was crazy. It was like Monster Hunter for us. Like we went up against this one big powerful dude.
It was the better version that we should have got the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
don't forget the girl influenced Kong also.
she did. She's like
Mhm.
Godzilla, and not
Yeah,
enemy.
she
You
signed.
know.
Yeah, that he wasn't the enemy.
But that doesn't make any sense because the whole time, how did the mother and the rest of the humans not know he knew sign language when we saw that the biodome was surrounded with cameras?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. She should lose her PhD.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Yeah.
It's like no, turn in your doctor card. That's it. That's
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Because the
I'm
daughter
not
was like,
even
I learned in secret, but even then, there's
like
cameras everywhere.
how you gonna learn secret? You're like 200 feet tall. You know, like your hand is the size of a fucking building. Like you
Yeah.
can't
Can't
hide
miss that shit. Is he talking? Like
Yeah.
You have all of these people that know, they know that like the breeding habits of freaking larva and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it's like, how the hell do you know freaking Kong can do sign language?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you see him in front of a little girl, she's doing her thing, he's copying her. It's like, bro, like that's a dead giveaway. But it's one of those things you just gotta dismiss because I'm not even gonna try to choose. That's just a blatant plot hole. It's like, how did he just go inside like a cave or something and hide?
Probably, because remember, he made the statement, don't tell the adults.
Yeah.
I don't trust them.
Yeah, he did say don't tell the adults. See, I took it as don't tell the white people. Don't let them know what we're up to. What's up, bro?
So I mean, should we address the problems with this?
Yes, we're gonna get to that. Let's just get out of the way, the human shit, man. And I'm gonna go right into it. That whole thing with the podcast, and maybe I'm biased because I host a podcast, was so fucking corny, especially at the end. Oh, you want to be on my podcast? Like, bruh. Really? So yeah, oh my god, I don't even know where to start with that. That whole thing was so dumb. It's like Titan Radio or whatever the fuck that shit was, And this guy was like being a nut, and then they try to add in some story about his wife. Like nobody cares, bro.
He reminded me of fucking Shia LaBeouf on Transformers when he went crazy.
Oh man,
like when he was like being like I don't know, controlled and stuff like that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Although I will give it, like, for anybody that's seen that actor in other shows, like he was on Joker, he's on Atlanta. It's like, oh, like I didn't know he had that side on him. He actually did a pretty good job.
He's in Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's on Spider-Man. So like I thought his acting was good because like you would never expect someone like him to act like that. And but yeah, I didn't like the way that they went with this. The whole Millie Bobby Brown and all their whole arc, it didn't really do anything. Their whole point was for exposition and to get coffee into the machine.
That's pretty much, spill the fucking liquor. Like somebody pointed this out on Twitter. It's like every human, all their dialogue was explaining shit to other people. Like there was no real genuine humanness going on. It's just like explaining the plot to somebody. And I did, by the way, I find it, I just thought about this right now. I find it interesting what it says about the humans in this movie, that the only human I liked was the only one that couldn't talk. That's the only one that works for me. The fucking deaf girls, like that's the only one that works for me. The rest of them were just like, they just existed for, I mean, she existed for a specific reason too, but that's the one you kind of connected with in a way. It's like the one who doesn't fucking talk, who doesn't say something stupid. Yeah,
she served the purpose. She's the one that tamed Kong. Yeah. She made him go places. She told her about Godzilla, and he's not really the enemy. And I mean, that was good enough. That was more than everyone else combined.
Yeah. Although that part was kind of funny. It's like Godzilla's enemy. I want to call him like, bitch, really? He just whipped my fucking ass. But and then like you said, the father, Office Space, is that what you called it? It's like, brah.
Office Space. He didn't have anything to do with it. Like, here's the thing. It's like you had your movie where you were the guy. You were the science man who was there to figure out the MacGuffin and all that stuff. This is not your movie. This is Pennywise movie. He is now the science man who has to go on the Hollow Earth and figure all this shit out. You had your chance, so you pass the torch to him, and you stop it. And then with the Stranger Things stuff going on, where they're like crawling around all the neon stuff. Let's go in here. Oh, there's a tunnel to Hong Kong. Okay, we'll go to Hong Kong. And it's like, what? This is just to reveal Mechagodzilla. You could have revealed that in like 5 minutes. But they had to have a whole thing where they go sneak in the lab and they're having an adventure.
Yeah, and then like you said, that attitude, the simp. I'm like, what's up with that dude's accent? Like, what was going on there? Like, I
thought he was Kiwi.
New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand.
Is that what it was? Because I'm like, because I couldn't tell if it was like English or Indian. I'm like, what is going on here?
Oh, it's New Zealand. It reminded me of the kid from Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the same kid.
No, it's not the same kid.
He's in other
when he
movies.
got fat. Yeah, please look that up. But again, that whole thing was stupid. I don't even know what the fuck was even his purpose, other than just being a comic relief.
That's
Well, he
it.
provided the
That's
van.
it.
That's it. Okay, that was literally just
Oh, he
comic
provided the
relief.
van.
Yeah, he did van. That's right. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about the human shit because the humans just existed. It literally get the monsters from A to B in this case. Like, yo, we gotta get Kong over here. We gotta get him
you're
over
right.
there.
He's dead.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. All right, go ahead.
So Pennywise, is it Pennywise or is it his brother? Because I know
It's
they have
his
this
brother.
whole family. It's his
Oh,
brother.
his
Yeah.
brother?
Mhm.
Okay.
That's
So-
Alexander. The other one is.
He's
Pennywise.
little big lie, right? I think he's in
Yeah,
that show.
he's from Big Little Lies. He's
Oh.
always the one abusing women.
Right. Yeah.
Every movie, he's just beating on women.
That's true. So this is the part that I don't get. He's brothers with the guy who died trying to get into the Hollow Earth.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the only reason they recruited him is, and think about this, Pacific Rim, it's like the whole compatibility thing with the twins or the brothers,
Yeah.
and they have that connection.
Mhm.
And in this one, they just have a connection because his brother died, and he's the best suited to do this job because his brother died. Is that his
he
whole?
knew. I thought it was because he knew of
Yeah.
the information.
I need to get on that real quick because they recruited him because he was like a Hollow Earth theorist, right? So like, about Hollow Earth, we're gonna.
Remember, he wrote the $30.
Yeah, to me, that's literally like if we find like if aliens showed up and they get the crazy alien guy with the big hair, get him as an expert.
Well,
That's
like,
literally equivalent. I was like, you getting a nut job to fucking research this shit,
or even to having Neil deGrasse Tyson pilot ships into Mars.
Yeah, it's like like he knows about Mars. He doesn't know how to fucking fly. Like, bro,
Exactly.
really? Yeah. So that was stupid. Like, literally, that is like getting a fucking ancient alien expert or something when aliens show up. It's like, no, that just because he's a fucking theorist doesn't, theorist. I'm being very kind with that term, by the way. It's like conspiracy theorist. That's what it really is. Like, it doesn't mean he's a fucking expert. That's fucking great. Yeah, it was stupid. The humans, it just didn't work for me in this movie at all, except for the little girl, and what's her face because she looked good. The Mexican girl, I like. That's the only thing I liked in this movie. That dude was just a waste of time. Pennywise, as you call him.
Now it's the brother of Pennywise.
Pennywise.
Yeah, it's Pennywise apparently died in the Hollow Earth.
Quarter-wise, or dime-wise.
Yeah,
we'll call him that.
the movie had too many characters. It really needed to slim that down. Like Millie Bobby Brown and her father, they had their movie. They really
we don't need
that whole.
That's the other thing.
cycle.
Like, why are we having recurring characters? Like, the whole point of these movies is to have a new cast every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need these same people. I don't need to see Millie Bobby Brown. Her fucking name confusing me. Like, did her parents love Millie Vanilli and Bobby Brown so much they decided we're gonna combine these two together and we're gonna name our daughter that?
And think about it like this: like we're always talking about different tropes from other movies, but they're trying to do the whole Batman versus Superman. I know it's a sin to bring that up, but Batman.
No, but you're right. Though it's apt here because this is the MonsterVerse, so you're good.
So we got to have a movie with Lois Lane and Martha Kent. Like people that are around the main characters. We got to have them because it's this whole shared universe.
Yeah,
we're trying to make this the MonsterVerse.
Right, but I don't understand. Like, it was too complicated. The A plot is getting Kong and Godzilla together to fight and then defeat Mechagodzilla. The B plot is Conspiracy Man 11 and her simp going on their adventures and then getting us all this information, all this exposition. So and then actually they're the C plot. The B plot is Pennywise's brother recruiting everyone and being the taxi service, so you get to see their story, but that's connected to Kong. But here's the thing with her. Okay, so in the 2016 movie, she and her mother were the expert in creating the hypersonics that could rile up kaiju. It's like, turn it on, and wake up Ghidorah and wake up Mothra and it can control Rodan. Okay, so you did that in that movie, but somehow you forgot that, and you're like, Godzilla's gone bad and we don't know why. Oh, gee, maybe there was a machine before that could cause that. What could it be? No, let's have a podcast and let's have him explain it. This rando we've never seen before.
Yeah, that was stupid. That you're right. They could have just cut the whole thing up. Absolute waste of time.
Yeah, and all she should have been there is when when Godzilla attacked Pensacola and exposed the thing or whatever, all you had to do was have her show up at some point and go, "Hey, we had a device like this, and Mustache Twirl over there stole it." Right? That would have been a great plot if he took that technology and he put it in Mechagodzilla for the express purpose of causing kaiju to come to him so he could murder them.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have much to add about the human shit. Dana, any other thoughts on the human aspect?
No, I just, exposition and the girl was the only one that really had that connection. The other three was just kind of running around, I guess, for comic relief that really wasn't even needed
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, silly. And then the last thing I want to talk about is, we kept bringing up during this whole podcast, because after I saw this movie, again, I loved the movie. I thought it was great, but it didn't have that same impact that I thought it would. And then I realized because I saw it on a 55-inch screen instead of a 50-foot screen. You know what I'm saying? So I really think this movie would, all that stuff we complained about, we probably would have had those complaints, but it would have seemed lesser just because of the spectacle, the visuals, the explosions, like, brah, the motherfuckers behind you screaming, like being funky next to you, like all the theater stuff, like we missed that experience.
I don't miss the funk.
Yeah, I don't miss the funk though. Yo, Dana, we've seen some characters at these fucking screenings though.
I had no arm being ripped off. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you was lucky because you missed the couple that wasn't making out.
I'm like, yo, did some bum just come off the street and sneak in? Like,
yeah, the Lincoln Center one has the the exit door where the homeless comes right in and sit down with their carts.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Good times, but like, and yes, I understand. I understand that. Yeah, dog starting on that. But yeah, like I know we could go to the theaters right now and watch this, but I'm not trying to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Not right now.
No, so I definitely think this movie would have been a lot more fun in that aspect. It would have been like, that's a big ass action movie. That's what it's supposed to be. So so I'm hoping, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do this in the future. Like, once everything clear, like really, really clears out, they'll probably have like a MonsterVerse fucking marathon or something. That's how you got to experience this, because that's the main thing. I was like, why isn't this hidden the way it's supposed to? Oh, because I'm not seeing it in its intended thing. Because I've seen the other movies at home, and like they're good, but I liked it better in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you guys have any more to add up, about the lack of theater experience. I think we talked about it pretty much this entire time. Actually, Dana, do you have anything to add about the experience? Because it was cool that we got it at home. Don't get me wrong.
It was cool that we got it at home, but no one's device, unless you're like Oprah, you can have that 70-foot screen staring at you. It's not going to work. And then with the proper sound.
And Dana, keeping it real, at least we'd have to pay $30 extra. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for not putting this on some type of PVOD.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is, and they just released it, and this is the one that they paid an extra, I think $70 or $100 million for. Because remember, that was that. Well, remember when Warner Brothers jumped up and was like, and it's available on HBO Max, and they didn't consult anyone, and that's when they started suing, managers and the agents were suing. And they had to actually pay because everyone's guaranteed, a back end of what the sales is projected to be. So they had to pay extra for this movie to get the legal okay to put it on HBO Max. Remember that's when Christopher Nolan was like, "I hate you. I hope you die."
Yeah. So, I mean, the movie's it's a Legendary Pictures movie. Yeah, it's just distributed by Warner Brothers, so that's the whole thing.
So this was the one that we was not technically going to get if they had their way. This was supposed to be theater only.
Not to divert too much, didn't the same thing happen with Dune as well?
It was all of the Warner Brother movies. They was preparing to sue. So they had to work out and was like, okay, you get your extra million. You get, like, for example, Gal Gadot got $10 million. Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins was paid $10 extra million because when I did the press conference, they was like, no, they didn't even want to do the press conference until they sold their money. So that's what happened. They worked out last minute deals. So this was an extra, like I think 70 million that they paid out, or even more than that. But yes, what was the original question?
No. You actually answered my question though, but that's that means we got to get it without paying $30 extra, like we will
Yeah.
for fucking Black
Like,
Widow.
yeah, because DC is not. I mean, Warner Brothers is not Warner Brothers. Disney Plus. That's a
Disney.
whole Disney. That's a whole different thing
Yeah.
in ball game. That's a
Yeah.
whole conversation that's separate. But yes. So yeah, so that's how we was able to get it, and it's in theaters now.
It's in theaters now. Yeah. If you want to
Cool.
risk it, you go right ahead. I'm not going to
It's
tell
actually-
you not to do your thing, but I'm good. I'm good. Go ahead, Carlos.
And this movie, I think, broke post-pandemic
It
box
did.
office record.
It
So-
did
It made
very well.
161 million worldwide.
That's
So
pretty good.
I mean, it's pretty good for these times.
The fourth highest grossing movie of this time right now,
I got
believe.
third.
Third? Oh, it went up then.
Third.
I saw it at fourth this morning.
No, it's third.
Yeah, that's good.
So far.
Good. That's great. Because again, if you're gonna risk your life, I guess this is the movie because it's meant to be in a theater. But anyway, let's start wrapping up. So final thoughts, Carlos. Final thoughts on the overall movie.
Yeah, this it's a really good movie. I mean, if you're just going in with the mindset that I just want to see Kong and Godzilla fight it out, it's the best movie you'll ever see.
Yes.
Obviously, there are other things that kind of irked me, the human stuff. But gotta see it for what it is, and it's really good. I really recommend it to anybody that's interested. I don't know. Tony gave it you gave it 4 out of 5.
I gave it 4. I gave it 4. No, I gave it 4 Deaf Island natives out of 5.
Oh, okay. I'll give it. What's a good one? I'll give it 3.5 Ghidorah skulls out of 5.
There you go.
Is that
I
what
like
Carlos?
that. Yeah. All right. So that's what he gave it. All right. Chris, overall thoughts.
Overall, I thought the movie was very good. It was very satisfying. All the fights are excellent. They're filmed and shot excellent. The lighting was great. There was actually a fight in the day. On the ships, the battle carrier shit happened in the day. I was shocked. I was like, "Oh my god, there's sunlight. You can see what's happening."
Mega Godzilla fight was during the day too.
Yes, they were fighting so long that the sun actually came up on Hong Kong, and that final fight happened. Yes, so that was all very well done. The human stuff, meh. I'd say meh. Too many characters, whatever. But all the other stuff kind of made up for it. I kind of glossed over it. It was like whatever. It is what it is. But I recommend seeing it. I'll give it 4 simp fans out of 5.
All right, Dana, final thoughts.
Yeah, I thought that it was really good. I appreciate the daylight, especially how my TV screen is. So I definitely appreciate that. I thought that it was a really good, solid movie. Nobody's coming in there for deep thought and conversation. We came in there to watch basically people fight, and that's exactly what we got. And I think we did a really good job with that. So I am going to have to give it a 4.5 out of 5, just because I didn't like the humans are just there to be there. But we got really great fight sequences. The cinematography was amazing. The CGI was just superb. So yeah, I thought it was really great. And the fact that I got to watch it at home too, that was extra for me. So I appreciate that.
Nice. And yeah, my overall thoughts. I thought the movie was great. Obviously, like I said, the human stuff was whatever. But it didn't bother me because again, they didn't focus too much on it. It was just a little annoying when it did happen. But like the main thing you came here for, Godzilla vs Kong, was great. I love I Mecha Godzilla fight was so fucking crazy, And I was just thinking, like, imagine if you're that one dude, right, or one family that lives in that one building that didn't get destroyed in Hong Kong. Like, oh man, we got lucky as fuck. Yeah, and I was just thinking about those guys. But yeah, the movie was dope. I want to see it again, just because it's so cool, and I hope that I get to see it again in the future in a theater when everything's like really calm, because I feel this is like. You need that theater-ness, with the big screen, the booming, the popcorn, all that stuff. It'll be really dope. And I'm looking forward to, and I'm very glad that the movie's doing very well because, this Hollywood, they're going to make another one, so I want to see that because I want to see, okay, now that we got Kong, Godzilla, semi-okay, right, with each other, I want to see some other shit right now. I want to see him tackle some bigger motherfucker. Like I could already see the intro of the movie. Kong's doing his thing. He's hanging on hollow Earth. Then a big dude just comes out of the ground, fucks him up, and then goes to fuck up Godzilla. They're like, all right, we can't take this guy alone. We got to do this. You know, there's some other shit happening. So, I'm ready, man. It's going to be good. Hopefully we won't have to wait too long. But, you know, with everything right now, because I know Hollywood things are slowed down for a moment. It may be a minute because they got this movie to us pretty fast if you think about it. After the last one. But we'll see, man. So that's going to do it for us. Dana, I want to thank you once again for letting me host this thing.
You're welcome.
And, since it's for the Koalition, please plug the stuff you need to plug for the site.
So we're at thekoalition.com. That is the Koalition with a K. We have video game reviews, interviews. I'm doing the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier. Tony's part of the discussion as well.
Yes.
We have the podcast for that. There's a whole bunch of interviews going on as well with the entire cast. We have Mortal Kombat that's coming up. We have an interview for that that's coming up. So, yeah. So video games, movies, TV shows, we have it as well. So thank you.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so me, Chris, and Carlos were part of the Throwdown Show podcast. If you guys visit the Koalition, you already know we post our stuff there all the time, all our episodes. And this week we talked about some of the craziness that happened. I forgot what the main topic was. E3 and all that other stuff. Yo, by the way, please tune in on Sunday because we will be going in on that whole MLB-ness. Yo, Twitter was lit. Oh my God, that was hilarious. So get ready for that. And, there's going to be links down there. You can check us all out, on our Twitters, especially me talking shit. If you want some free entertainment, just go to my timeline. That's all you need to do. Because, I just say one thing, dude's already going off, and that's going to do it for us, people. So once again, our show is Tony Polanco. And today I was joined by Dana Abercrombie.
Oh, thank you so much for speaking to us. And thoughts and prayers to DMX.
Yeah, there you go. Chris Seeley.
Hey, thank you, and take care, everyone.
And Carlos Romero.
Peace out, people.
Awesome.